All right, today we're jumping headfirst into one of the biggest mysteries out there. We're talking about the connection between our own minds, our conscious experience, and the weird, fundamental roles that run the entire universe. This is going to be a wild ride, so let's get into it. So, let's start with the big one. What even is consciousness? It sounds like such a simple question, right? But it's probably the hardest problem in all of science. This isn't just for late-night philosophy sessions anymore. It's a real scientific puzzle that pushes everything we think we know to the absolute edge. I mean, how does the feeling of being you, right now, actually happen? And to really set the stage, check out this quote from Max Planck, one of the people who literally founded quantum theory. He's saying we've got it completely backwards. We think consciousness comes from the physical world, but what if the physical world actually comes from consciousness? Yeah, that's the kind of mind-bending territory we're exploring today. Okay, so first things first. Let's really frame the challenge here. Why do people call consciousness the hard problem? Think about it like this. We can map out the brain. We can see every neuron fire, track every chemical signal. Scientists call that the easy problem, even though it's not easy at all. But the hard problem is this. How does all that physical stuff, that 3-pound lump of wetware in your skull, create the experience of seeing the color blue, or feeling happy, or tasting a strawberry? There's a huge gap between the physical process and the subjective feeling, a gap that science, right now, just can't cross. So where on earth do we even start looking for an answer? Well, our first big clue comes from the absolute weirdest part of science, the place where all our normal intuitions go to die, the quantum world. Okay, so this is the standard accepted view in physics, and it's just bizarre. It basically says that on the tiniest scales, things don't really have solid properties. They exist in a blurry cloud of possibilities until something observes them. This means looking at something isn't a passive act. Observation seems to play a creative role in literally making reality real. And the difference is just staggering. On the left, that's our everyday world. You know, a ball has a definite position, even if you're not looking at it. But on the right, that's the quantum world. A particle, when you're not looking, isn't in one single place. It's in a superposition of all its possible places at once. The very act of measuring it forces it to pick one. Let's make this a little more concrete. Imagine an atom is heading towards two boxes, A and B. Quantum mechanics tells us that until we actually check, that atom is not in box A or box B. In a very real physical sense, it's in a superposition of being in both boxes at the exact same time. And you might be thinking, how could we possibly know that? Well, here's how. If we just let thousands of these atoms run the experiment without looking and just see where they land on a screen behind the boxes, they create a specific pattern called an interference pattern. It looks like waves interfering with each other. And the only way that pattern can form is if each individual atom went through both boxes at once to interfere with itself. It's physical proof. But here's where it gets completely insane. If we change the experiment just a little bit and put a detector at one of the boxes to peek and see which one the atom goes through, the whole thing changes. The moment we look, we always find the entire atom in just one box. And that wave pattern, it completely vanishes. Our act of looking forced a different reality to happen. Werner Heisenberg, another one of the quantum pioneers, nailed it with this quote. It's like the universe exists as this ghost of possibilities, and our observation is what solidifies one of those possibilities into the actual concrete world we experience. But the billion-dollar question that physics can't answer is, what counts as an observation? Does it have to be a conscious human? A cat? A camera? Nobody knows. And that, right there, leads us to a fascinating question. If observation is so fundamental to reality, could these very same quantum effects be happening inside our own brains? Could the brain be more than just a classical computer? Could it be a quantum computer? The most well-known theory that dives into this is called orchestrated objective reduction, or ORCA-WAR for short. It's definitely controversial, but the idea is that consciousness isn't something that just magically appears when a grain gets complicated enough. Instead, it's a fundamental quantum process happening inside tiny structures within our neurons called microtubules.
So here's the basic idea. Tiny proteins inside these microtubules can exist in a state of quantum superposition. These quantum states build up and link across many different neurons until they reach a certain point, a threshold, and then they spontaneously collapse into a single state. And here is the absolute kicker, according to the theory that physical collapse, that objective reduction, is a moment of conscious experience. It doesn't cause consciousness, the event itself is a flash of awareness.
Now, as crazy as all this quantum physics sounds, the core idea that consciousness might not be stuck inside our heads, that it might be fundamental to the universe, is not new at all. In fact, it's an idea that's as old as humanity itself. Just look at this timeline. For literally 100,000 years, we see signs that humans have felt there's more to us than just our physical bodies. From Neanderthals burying their dead with supplies for a journey, to early humans mapping the stars, to the ancient Greeks talking about an immortal soul, there's this persistent sense that our awareness is connected to something much, much bigger. And you see these same core beliefs pop up over and over, all across the globe for thousands of years. The idea that you can leave your body in a dream, the idea of a spirit world, the feeling that the universe itself is somehow alive or aware. Now, this isn't scientific proof, of course, but it's a powerful, recurring human intuition that echoes the quantum mystery in a really strange way. Okay, so this all brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. If our consciousness is somehow entangled with the fabric of reality, then what is our role in all of this? The brilliant psychologist William James made this point more than a century ago. Consciousness has to do something. Think about it from an evolutionary point of view. Why would we evolve this incredibly complex, rich inner world if it had no effect on anything? If it was just a useless ghost along for the ride? James argued it must be effective. It must have a real influence.
And then you have the famous physicist John Archibald Wheeler, who took that idea to a cosmic level. Notice the word he used. He didn't say we live in an observed universe. He said observer participatory. That word, participatory, implies we're not just watching a movie that's already been filmed. It implies we're somehow involved in the act of creation itself.
And that's the ultimate question we're left with. When you look out at the world, are you simply a camera taking a picture of something that's already there, complete and finished? Or is the universe a vast ocean of potential, waiting for a conscious mind, waiting for your mind to observe it, and in doing so, help bring it into being? It remains one of the greatest and most profound unanswered questions in all of science.